Now, the camera's in the
there you
way.
go.
Welcome to our podcast today, the Exceptional Educators Playbook. And I am Vonda Adams, a math consultant here at KVEC, and alongside of me is Stephanie Kidd, who's also a math consultant. And the purpose of our podcast is to offer professional learning opportunities to meet the needs of our teachers while giving teachers a platform to share their expertise. So every month, we will highlight a different topic every educator needs to know, and each week that topic will be broken down into content-specific categories. For example, week 1 will explain what it would look like in literacy. Week 2 explains what it will look like in math. Week 3 allows you to look at the topic through a social, emotional, behavioral lens. And week 4 offers modifications and models for the low incidence community. So today, we're going to be discussing instructional strategies in math. And so we are excited to have Shannon Napier. He's a special education teacher at W.B. Muncie Elementary from the Leslie County Schools. And Shannon will share with us how he uses humor and a wow factor to keep his kids engaged. And he's going to provide some tech and how he provides tech support to his students and parents, and some barriers that he's encountered along the way and how he's overcome those obstacles. So Shannon, I'm going to let you tell a little bit about yourself before we get started, please.
My name is Shannon Napier. I'm a special ed teacher at W.B. Muncie in Leslie County. This year I teach 6th grade math, 6th grade ELA, and then I've got a 5th grade math and a 5th grade language arts.
Okay. So we all know you're in a kind of a different world right now, and your kids, you said you were lucky enough to have kids come in, some today, but what are some instructional strategies that you use to cope with getting the students engaged?
Well, one thing I want to do is, it's a little different this year, of course everybody knows, but I can't see, like, normally in a classroom you can see their face, you can see their eyes, so I want to try to get them engaged when they first get online. So I usually have a video, like how to make jelly beans, just something that they like, just to kind of get them in. It may not really have a whole lot to do with what we're getting ready to do before we get into Learn Target, but it kind of just gets them to where they're talking. So the video's over, they're talking, they're like, oh, I like that, and then you can ask questions, and then I can kind of go into things. And my jokes aren't funny, but I try to tell a lot more jokes this year than I normally do. But some of them are so bad they're probably funny. But I try to get them, make them laugh and just enjoy it, have fun. I found a couple good websites that I like to use. When you're in class, you use manipulatives with them. There's a Toy Theater is a good place to go. And I don't know how to pronounce this word, but it's DIDAX, I guess, DIDAX.
DIDAX. We love DIDAX.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. It's got the yellow orange, the counters, like if you're doing integers with your kids. And I actually use that for ratios too. And then it's got one of them I've seen the Unifix cubes on there, spinners, dice for probability. And one thing that I really like with 6th grade is you got the percent, the fraction, and the decimal strips. So you can like compare, like you can show them this is 1/4 as a fraction, this is 0.25 as a decimal, 25% as, and you can kind of show them, and it's a good way to compare things. So those are 3 things those are 2 sites I really like to use for manipulatives with them, because with our kids, you kind of the hands-on helps more.
Right.
Kids are different, but the majority of the ones I have, it's better to use those.
Yeah, our kids need hands-on as much as possible, but right now we can't really get those manipulatives out to them. So if we can use a virtual manipulative, it's better than not having a manipulative at all. What are some other ways that you've done for like collecting your data and those kind of things? I know that's a little different this year. So how do you collect data?
One thing I do is, I have my regular classrooms, which I can get a lot of stuff for that, but there's some classes, some of my students are virtual only, so they may have a different teacher. So I'll log on with those teachers. But I have I just call mine like specially designed for that student, especially design instruction. So that student will log on with me. There'll be set times where we log in. And one thing I use is iExcel, but the bad, like if you use iExcel, the SMART score, if you know, they get to a certain score, but I don't really use it that way. I use it as like, okay, let's say your goal is to multiply fractions. Well, we're multiplying fractions and do the first 10 problems. So if you get 6 right, then I can go in and see what you missed, what you got right. So you're at 60%. Or if you got, 5 right, you're at 50%. So if you use iExcel, you can use it like let them maybe do the first 10 problems to kind of give you an idea. That's one of my favorite because it's got every category on it, and it changes. So it's like if I use it this week, then next week it's not going to give me the same. It's a little random and it's when you pull it up.
So how do you give feedback for
Is
those?
my connection okay?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you give feedback for those kids?
Well, they're online with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see while they're doing it. I mean, I can actually track it while they're doing it.
Okay.
So I can.
Yes, listen.
So I can comment, and we work on using the comment section, and then that they don't have to turn their camera on, but they have to talk to me or type. So we got kind of a two-way interaction. Am I losing service?
No, you're good. It's every now and then it's like freezing up, but we're still able to chat fine and dandy.
We're
so
still
that's
hearing
good.
you.
When you're
Okay.
communicating with your students and your caregivers during this, because I know you're having to communicate with caregivers, what's some of the methods that you're using for that, and how are you giving feedback to parents? Because I know that's a big concern.
We're doing, well, I talk to a lot, we do a lot of phone conversations.
Mhm.
And I also send out their progress monitoring to them. So we do it more often now than what probably what we're required to, but we're sending those out. We send reminder letters home. We're just in constant contact with them. So I'll pick up the phone and I'll say, they'll ask me questions. They'll send me a message on Messenger, and then I'll call them back the next day. I say, I'll call you and we'll talk about it in the morning. And then I give it. It's a lot more, I guess, phone conversations.
Yeah, so that's a lot of documentation on your part too. Discuss some of the technologies that you use with your students specifically. I know you talked about Didax and you talked about Toy Theater, but what's some other technology things that you use?
I like Edpuzzle.
Okay.
And vocabulary.
That one.
Those are interactive too. So when they're doing vocabulary, like you got the catchy little song, and then there's like when they're doing the assessments on it, it's kind of like they're actually it's interactive, and there's always the little draw, like got options to kind of draw on it. And then I use when I'm on Google Meets, when I'm live with them, I use a Jamboard. And we have a touch screen, so I can share my screen and they can see me writing like on their screen.
Okay. What's some barriers that you've encountered during this virtual learning?
Just the face-to-face contact or the face-to-face with them. It's if you're with me and I can see you struggling, if it's online, sometimes it's a little harder because I can't see you. I can ask you all the questions in the world, but you could just say, yeah, I got it. But, but just trying to like find ways to not ask close-ended questions, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like I want more detail, and then it just not being able to see them is one of the hardest things.
So what have you done to try to address those obstacles that you have? Have you come up with a way to work around it?
I have taught them, and for the most part, most of my kids can share their screen with me. I mean, not all of them, but especially my like my 6th grade class, they can, like I've taught them how to go in. Okay, so now you're presenting to me, so you can show me what you're doing, and they do pretty well with that. So that's one thing. Of course, I always give them the option to, if they can turn their cameras on, but I don't require, you don't have to do that, but you do have to chat with me, you do have to talk to me, and then you have to share your screen. And then there's times too that, where they may need a little extra help, and then, we got time and days set aside that they can log on.
Right.
It's one-on-one. So it's like, okay, it's just me and you, or I've taught them too. I let them know that if you go into Google, if you put in the streams that, I need help, can I just say, just write help, I need help, and give me a few minutes, because sometimes it takes me a few minutes to log in. I may be driving, but just kind of keep checking, and I'll chat back and let them know when they can, we'll set up a time to log in together. And they're really, some of them are doing really well at that.
That's awesome. It's awesome that you can do that for them, because I know the kids who struggle so much, who have greater barriers, whatever it may be, if they've got somebody who they can rely on, they feel like they're very comfortable with calling and saying, hey, can you log in with me, or can you log in as me and help me through this? That's really a great support for those kids.
Yeah.
We had
Go ahead.
It was the first, when school first started, we had just a lot of technology. Like, okay, you're taking a Chromebook home, and you probably never got on a Chromebook at your house, and then you're going online. So we spent a lot of time at the beginning of the year just being available to parents, grandparents, to try to really help get everything set up there, be available.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the students, the interaction with students, and their social emotional well-being?
That's one of the most important. That's one thing that I worry about the most, especially since they're at home. But that's one thing is I want to make it fun, because I want them to log in. Mm-hmm. If it's just you have no idea log in just to see what the beginning class would be. Like, I may show the most expensive iPhone in the world, or you could Google anything. We had, can't remember all the things that I've done, but just something kind of catchy, just to kind of log in, get them talking. Or we had one video. The guy he was famous for making useless contraptions. I forget what they're called, but it was like, you see them a lot in cartoons, and it's like it's like you're wanting to just maybe make eggs, but it's going to go through, like a bowling ball is going to drop from something and roll through something, and it's I can't remember what they're called, but they love that. There's about 3 or 4 of those videos, so just trying to do things like that, just so that you'll get online with it.
Yeah, you had shared with us when we talked earlier last week about how that you had been really successful getting your kids to log on with you and to stay engaged in that thing, and that's how we had talked about how that. But I want you to share with them what your plan was whenever you just had tried everything you could and they weren't logging on, because I thought it was a pretty unique approach to it.
Well, one thing we did, and it's every kid's different. You got to understand the history, the behavior, just depending on that kid. But we do have some kids that may have autism or maybe MMD, and they were, we thought it would be better to serve them if we could put them on like home hospital or home ec. And then that way we can be face to face with them and give them, and then they can still get the related services. Well, which they're going to get those anyway. But it just gives us a good opportunity of just being face to face with them in a time when it was really hard to do that.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting avenue to go with, to approach that. And you're the person who is still seeing them, correct? You're still their teacher. You're providing
Yeah.
those homebound services, correct? Okay.
Right, yeah.
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 So you did get some face-to-face with those kids. So I'm sure that's a big help for them, because if it's a student who you can't keep their attention during,
Yeah.
virtual, that's a whole other route to have to worry about.
Yeah.
And of course that has to be decided in the ARC meeting and those kind of
Right.
things.
Yeah,
So-
and then make sure, you check with, and I checked with everybody that we met, and I mean, we just did what was best for the kid. But it's like, I mean, there's a couple kids that they can't, I mean, just they're being able to like just log on by themselves to like, okay, I'm just gonna work. I mean, it would be so hard for that kid that, we did that to help to bring them in. That way we can get in front of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But also social emotional, how do you talk to your kids to get them to kind of tell you what, how they're feeling and all that stuff? Because they have anxiety too. We know that, with this crazy world that, is going on. So what do you do? Do you do any kind of activities with them or anything like that? Besides the great dad jokes.
I do it's called a quick ride. And, even though it's like because I have the same kids for most of them for reading too. Not all of them, but I have them for reading. So we do a little quick ride, and what that is, it's it's like kind of like a bell ringer, but you just want them to you give them like just a couple minutes. It's not a big assignment. You're just basically, and I think, I mean, even if you're doing math, you still know how to. You can still write a sentence using math, but I'll ask a question like just not too personal to words, but just tell me 3 things exciting that happened to you this weekend, or maybe just different, just depending on just how that week goes, how, I mean, if you know your kids, you can kind of come up with the questions, but just kind of, just give it, and I tell them, I say like, okay, nobody's going to see these questions but me. No other kids will see them, like, I'll grade these, you do these. So I'll ask like little, just kind of get a little personal with them, just enough to just check on them, see how you doing, how's things going. And then, at the same time, you're like, and it's especially more in my language arts, but even in math, it's like you're still writing, start with capital letters, punctuation, just kind of your basic, you're still kind of working on like, just give me a complete sentence, and nobody else can see it but me.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So give us, since this is a math podcast and you put some English in there, which will make Chastity happy, let's talk about maybe 2 of your best strategies that you have when you're working with your kids, whether it's in ratios or with division, whatever it is. Give me 2 of your best strategies.
I love the beat rags.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite manipulatives.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite strategies is I like the we started out with integers, and I really like the counters, because they're pretty simple. You got 2 sides, one side's positive, one side's negative. We can also use those for ratios. And then I don't know, as soon as they get them, they kind of like to line them up. I mean, they like playing with them too.
That's important though, to let them explore a little bit with them before you start working with them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing. And then I do like the spinners for probability, because I think the one on Toy, I can't remember if it's the Toy Theater or the other one, you can customize it. You can put numbers, letters, colors, and then it's, they can spin it. So they're touching it and they feel, it's just more hands-on for them. Those are 2 that I really like.
So you mentioned the bead board earlier. I want to ask, how do you use your bead board?
Well, okay, if we're doing unit rate,
Mm-hmm.
You go to the dollar store and they got a special 3 12-packs for $12. Okay, now you can use your bead rag to show me how to answer that question.
Okay.
So once we figure out, okay, because it's like you're always not, And I always teach it as we set it up as a fraction and you're dividing, and money always goes on top. So 3 into 12, and then you can use your B direct to show me how much the 12 pack would be.
Awesome.
Yeah. I always like to ask, I know that, like Stephanie said before, it's been difficult, very difficult for you all to adjust to working with your kids and having to do it virtually and those types of things. And we talked about the barriers and the things that have been so hard for you, but has there been some good things come out of this since we've had to do this virtually for this long period of time? Is there some positives that have come out of it for you?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, my kids we've been using Google Classroom for a few years, probably longer than that. I think they're better on it now. I think their typing is getting better where they're using them so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, as you go on in education, I mean, you got to learn to type. You don't do I guess you call it the hunt and peck for,
Yeah.
for the letters. I mean, you're actually kind of learning a little bit of typing. And I think, if we ever have another snow day, I mean, the kids will actually, like if it comes a blizzard and we're out of school for 3 weeks, those kids will actually get to be in front of their teachers for those 3 weeks. I think it'll help the kids more they probably won't like that as much, not having a traditional snow day, but I mean, it's going to be a little more educational for them.
Right.
And just for me, it'll make you appreciate having them in class more.
Absolutely.
Whenever we get back to normal.
Yeah.
I think that's been a big thing that I've heard from him all this time. I can't wait to get my kids back in front of me.
Absolutely.
So we know that you really like having the kids there with you.
Right.
And we're very appreciative of that because, when those kids are with us and you feel that comfortable with your kids, that it just shows how much you care for them. And so that's a huge thing. And we greatly appreciate our teachers that have that commitment to them.
Absolutely. So do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with us before we finish up? We're just a little early.
Just my principal I thought this was good. Before the school year started, she was talking about how, your kids will feed off of you. And it's like you're going to school, you're going to be wearing masks, and it's going to be different. And it's like if you're negative about it, your kids are probably going to be negative about it. So it's like kind of just, they're going to kind of feed off of you. So be more positive now than you've probably ever been.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I should have bought it today. I got a Darth Vader mask. That's my favorite mask. If I'd have had kids today, it's like the bottom part is like my Darth Vader mask. They love that, especially with little kids. So
that's great.
Just one thing, advice from my principal that I thought was really good was just, be more positive.
I think that's a good piece of advice. Yeah, that's good. We could go with that throughout life, right?
Because even as adults, we feed off of each other as adults. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody's in a bad mood or they're upset, we tend to feed off that too. So yeah, that's probably one of a really good advice for our kids because we all know, and we've all been there. You're sick or you have a headache or whatever, and we all drag ourselves to school, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what's going on with us, how bad we feel. And the kids will pick up on that, and they'll be so quiet, or they'll just, or that's the day that they're all like, she's not talking to us, or whatever. So it's great that, you guys are putting that positive, there. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
All right, Miss Vonda.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap things up here just a little bit. And Shannon, again, we thank you for joining us and for sharing all your expertise with us and all your thoughts and originality. And so if you are interested in finding out more about what we have for you with math as far as what's going on with our podcast, you're welcome to join our Google Classroom. I did drop it into the chat, but I will state it as well. The code is FNJPQQN. and you're welcome to join and see what type of resources we have in there. And of course, if you would like further information from either one of us, my email address is vonda.adams@theholler.org, and Miss Stephanie is,
Stephanie.kid@theholler.org.
and we will holler at you later. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. So I put